They say the sharpest pain in life doesn't come when someone dies. It comes when the person you trusted with your whole heart betrays you while still holding your hand. I was 32 years old when it happened to me. My wife was 30. We had been married for 6 years. 6 years of memories, laughter, and what I thought was unshakable loyalty. If you had asked me back then, I would have sworn on everything that she would never hurt me. We were that couple people admired. The couple that traveled together, who finished each other's sentences, who posted smiling photos that made others secretly jealous. We weren't rich, we weren't famous, but we were happy, or so I thought. You see, betrayal doesn't announce itself like thunder. It sneaks in, soft at first. A change of routine. A guarded phone. A late night that doesn't quite make sense. And before you realize it, the foundation you built your life on has already cracked wide open. This is not just a cheating story. This is the story of how my wife's betrayal shattered me, how I crawled through the ashes of that pain, and why, when she came crawling back begging for forgiveness, I told her. It's too late. Regret doesn't erase betrayal. Let me take you back to the beginning. When I first met her, she wasn't just beautiful, she was magnetic. She had this laughter that filled the room, this glow that made people want to be near her. We were introduced at a friend's birthday dinner, and I remember thinking, if I don't talk to her tonight, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. So I did. And she smiled. And from that moment, something clicked. Our first date wasn't fancy. Just coffee at a small cafe downtown. But we talked for hours until the barista politely told us they were closing. That was the start of everything. Within months, we were inseparable. Weekend road trips, endless texts, late-night phone calls. We became that couple. The one friends teased for being too sweet, too glued to each other. But I didn't care. I was in love. When I proposed, it wasn't on some grand stage. It was on a quiet beach at sunset. I was nervous, fumbling with the ring, but she cried and said yes before I could even finish the words. Our wedding was small, intimate, family, close friends, nothing extravagant. But the way she looked at me when we said our vows, it felt like forever was real. And in the years that followed, life only seemed to prove it. We traveled whenever we could. Paris, where we kissed under the Eiffel Tower. Rome, where we got lost in winding alleys and ended up laughing at our terrible sense of direction. Istanbul, where we shared street food and promised we'd return someday. At home, it was just as beautiful. Lazy Sundays in bed until noon. Pancakes for breakfast. Her teasing me for dancing horribly in the kitchen, and me pulling her close anyway. There was one road trip I'll never forget. We were driving through the countryside, the sun setting, windows down, music blasting. She reached over, squeezed my hand, and whispered, "This is all I'll ever need. Just you and me." Moments like that, they etch themselves into your soul. They become the anchor of your trust, the reason you silence every doubt later, when cracks begin to appear. For 6 years, if anyone had asked me to define happiness, I would have pointed to her without hesitation. She wasn't just my wife. She was my best friend. My partner. My everything. Or at least, I thought she was. Because sometimes, the person you trust the most, is the one holding the knife. It didn't happen all at once. The cracks in our marriage started like hairline fractures, so small, so quiet, you almost convince yourself they're not there. At first, it was her phone. She used to leave it lying around anywhere, on the couch, on the kitchen counter, sometimes even unlocked on the nightstand. If it buzzed, she'd casually show me the message or laugh about whatever a friend sent. There was no secrecy, no reason to doubt. But then, that changed. The phone was suddenly always face down. A new lock code appeared, one I didn't know. And when it buzzed, she'd reach for it like it was a secret diary she couldn't let me see. When I asked, she brushed it off. I just don't want work emails ruining our evenings. Work. That became her favorite word. She had always been ambitious, yes, but now, late meetings, became a regular excuse. Dinners grew cold on the table while she sent, "Sorry, running late, don't wait for me." Sometimes she wouldn't get home until nearly midnight. And the changes didn't stop there. Her wardrobe shifted. New dresses, sleek, stylish, not her usual taste. Expensive perfume I hadn't bought her. Makeup carefully applied even on days she used to prefer sweatpants. At first, I told myself it was harmless. That she just wanted to look good at work. That she was trying to impress her boss or feel confident in her career. Love blinds you like that, it tells you your doubts are paranoia. But then came the dinners. We'd sit together at the table, candles flickering between us, plates steaming with food I had cooked. But instead of talking, instead of laughing the way we used to, she'd be staring at her phone. Smiling. Typing. Smiling again. I leaned forward one night, forcing a laugh. "What's so funny?" She startled, locking the phone so fast it nearly slipped from her hand. "Oh, just a meme from a friend." But she angled the screen away from me. That tiny gesture cut deeper than any fight ever could. We used to share everything, every silly joke, every bad meme, every embarrassing photo. And now she was building a world I wasn't allowed to enter. At night, I felt the distance even more. She'd roll over, back turned, claiming exhaustion. The warmth we once shared in bed turned cold, like we were strangers under the same blanket. Still, I pushed the doubts down. Because that's what loyalty does, it tells you to trust, even when your gut is screaming. But then, came the night I couldn't ignore. She came home late again. I hugged her out of habit, trying to be supportive. But as I pressed my face to her shoulder, I froze. Perfume. Whiskey. And faintly, another man's cologne. It hit me like a punch to the chest. My mind raced, my heart sank, but my lips said nothing. I just stood there, holding her, while inside me, something began to break. The night I smelled that cologne on her jacket, something inside me cracked. But suspicion isn't the same as proof. And proof is what finally breaks you. For days after, I watched more closely. I noticed things I had ignored before. The way she angled her phone away when I walked into the room. How her late nights always seemed to fall on the same days of the week. The way her smile lingered too long after certain texts. I didn't want to believe it. I told myself I was being paranoid. That maybe it really was just work stress. But deep down, my gut screamed the truth. And then, the message came. One Saturday morning, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Normally, I would never look. For 6 years, I had trusted her completely. But trust doesn't survive secrets. I stared at the glowing screen. A single message previewed. Just one line. Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you. Same time next week. My blood turned to ice. My hands shook as I unlocked her phone. Yes, I knew her passcode, the one she thought I didn't. The thread of messages opened, and my heart sank with every word. Flirty texts. Secret plans. Photos. All from a coworker. A man she had claimed was just a colleague. The world went silent. My ears rang. My stomach twisted. And in that moment, 6 years of laughter, promises, and dreams collapsed into nothing but lies. When she came out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, humming like everything was normal. I couldn't even speak. I just looked at her, phone in hand, the messages glowing on the screen. Her face drained of color. "I can explain," she whispered. But explanations don't undo betrayal. I held up the phone, my voice shaking. "How long?" She stammered. Denied. Lied. Said it was just flirting. Then, when I pressed harder, she admitted it had been going on for a few months. A few months. While I was cooking dinners. While I was waiting at home. While I was dreaming of kids and forever. She was sneaking around, laughing with him, kissing him, sharing pieces of herself that were supposed to be mine. I can't describe the feeling. It's not just anger. It's not just sadness. It's a mix of both, tangled with betrayal so sharp it makes your chest ache. She cried. She begged. She said it was a mistake, that she still loved me, that she didn't want to lose us. But I couldn't even look at her. The woman I thought was my soulmate had become a stranger in my own home. That night, I packed a bag. I told her I needed space. And as I walked out the door, suitcase in hand, I realized something. Sometimes the hardest part of betrayal isn't losing the person you love, it's losing the person you thought they were. The next evening, I went back home. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed answers. A part of me hoped she would fall on her knees, confess everything, and fight for us with honesty. Instead, I walked into a house filled with silence, heavy and suffocating. She was sitting at the kitchen table, her eyes red, tissues scattered like snow around her. The moment she saw me, she jumped up, rushing toward me. Her, crying, "Please, just listen. It didn't mean anything. I was stupid. I messed up. But you are my husband, the love of my life." I held up my hand. I didn't want her touch. Not now. Me, coldly, "If I'm the love of your life, why was I not enough for you?" She froze. No words. Just silence and trembling lips. I sat down, staring at her across the table. The woman I had shared 6 years with suddenly looked like a stranger. Me, sharp, "Tell me the truth. Every detail. How long? Where? How many times?" She shook her head, crying harder. Her, "Please, don't make me say it. I don't want to hurt you more." That answer, it cut deeper than the betrayal itself. Because it meant the truth was even uglier than I imagined. I slammed my hand on the table. The sound echoed through the house. "Me, you already hurt me. The moment you chose him over us, you destroyed everything. So don't pretend you're protecting me now." Finally, the mask dropped. She admitted it. The late nights at the office weren't real. The perfume wasn't for me. The business trips. Excuses. And then she said something that made my blood boil. Her, whispering, "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to." I laughed, bitterly. Me, no. Accidents happen once. This was a choice. Every text, every meeting, every kiss, you chose it. Over me. Over us. Her face crumbled. She slid to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. But I felt nothing. The man who once would have died to wipe away her tears now felt only emptiness. After a long silence, she whispered the words I'll never forget. Her, "Please, don't leave me. I can change. I'll cut him off. I'll prove it. Just give me one more chance." I looked at her for a long time. The woman I once thought I'd grow old with. The woman who held my heart in her hands and crushed it without a second thought. And finally, I said, "Me, you only regret it now because you got caught. You didn't regret it when you were sneaking around. You didn't regret it when you looked me in the eye and lied. You regret losing control, not losing me." Her sobs filled the room. But my decision was already made. I grabbed my keys, turned toward the door, and said the final words of the night. "Me, I'm not your safety net anymore. I'm done." And I walked out, leaving her crying in the house that no longer felt like a home. The first night after I left felt like stepping into another world. A small apartment, for empty walls, and a bed that suddenly felt too big. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, with silence pressing against me like a weight. No laughter in the kitchen. No hum of her shower. Just me and my thoughts. And those thoughts were brutal. Was I not enough? What did he give her that I couldn't? Why wasn't I enough to keep her loyal? I replayed every memory, every fight, every moment of distance. Searching for clues. Torturing myself with the what-ifs. But here's the cruel trick about betrayal, it makes you question your worth, when in truth, it reveals theirs. At first, I didn't want therapy. I'll deal with it myself, I told my friends. But eventually, the weight was too much. So I sat in a quiet room across from a stranger, a therapist who listened as I poured out years of love, and months of heartbreak. I told her about the phone messages. About the confrontation. About walking away. And then I confessed something darker. Me, in therapy, sometimes. I wonder if it was my fault. If maybe I wasn't good enough. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Therapist, her choice to betray you was never about your worth. It was about her character." That hit me like thunder. Week after week, therapy became a place where I unpacked everything. My pain, my anger, my fear of ever trusting again. And slowly, I began to rebuild. Not the marriage, but myself. The gym became my second sanctuary. At first, I dragged myself there just to escape the empty apartment. But soon, it turned into something else. Every rep, every bead of sweat, felt like I was burning away the betrayal. When I couldn't sleep, I lifted. When I felt angry, I ran until my legs gave out. And little by little, I changed, not just physically, but mentally. The man I saw in the mirror wasn't broken anymore. He was becoming stronger. But don't get me wrong. Healing isn't a straight line. There were nights I sat on the floor of my apartment, scrolling through old photos of us. Birthdays. Vacations. Anniversary dinners. Memories that once felt so warm now stabbed like knives. I'd catch myself thinking, maybe I should call her. Maybe we could fix this. But then I'd remember that message on her phone. Last night was amazing. Same time next week. Last night was amazing. Same time next week. And just like that, the temptation would die. Because no amount of nostalgia can erase betrayal. Slowly, I started reconnecting with the man I had been before the marriage. I went hiking again, something I hadn't done in years. I picked up my guitar, playing songs I thought I'd forgotten. I reconnected with friends I'd drifted from. And with every small step, I felt life come back. Then came the unexpected. At a friend's gathering, I met someone new. Not with fireworks or instant magic, just a genuine smile and kind conversation. We talked about books, about travel, about silly things like favorite pizza toppings. And for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. No secrets. No double life. No hidden texts under the table. Just honesty. We started with coffee. Then dinners. Then long walks where conversation flowed effortlessly. And I realized something, trust isn't built on grand promises, it's built on consistency. And she showed up, every time. One night, walking her to her car, she turned to me and said softly, I don't know your whole story yet. But I just want you to know, whatever broke you, it's not your fault. You deserve someone who chooses you every day." Her words sank deep. And in that moment, I knew, I wasn't broken anymore. I was healing. It began quietly. Just a buzz on my phone late at night. "I miss you. Please." My first instinct was to throw the phone across the room. My heart raced, but not with love, with anger. With disbelief. After everything she had done, now she missed me. I didn't reply. Hours later, another message lit up the screen. I ended it. He's gone. You're the one I want. And then another. Please don't give up on us. I can't lose you. Each message felt hollow. Like a thief crying after being caught. I put my phone face down. I had nothing left to say. A week later, there was a knock on my apartment door. I opened it, and there she was. Eyes swollen, makeup smudged, holding a box of my old things she'd found. Her, weakly, "Can we talk?" Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on my couch like she still belonged there, like nothing had changed. Her, "I was so lost, but I see it now. You're the only man I'll ever love." I stared at her, unmoved. Me, funny. You didn't see that when you were with him. She launched into a flood of justifications. Her, "It wasn't serious. It was just a mistake. I was confused. He was there when you were busy. It didn't mean anything." I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Me, "A mistake is one night. This was months. Don't insult me by calling it an accident." Her tears spilled harder. She buried her face in her hands, as if her crying could erase her choices. Then came the guilt tactics. "We've built 6 years together. Do you really want to throw all that away? Think about our future, the kids we wanted, the house we dreamed of. Are you really willing to let one mistake erase all of it?" I felt a pang in my chest. Those dreams weren't just hers, they were mine too. But then I remembered, she had already erased them the moment she chose someone else. Me, firm, "You threw it away. I'm just accepting reality." She fell to her knees, grabbing my hand desperately. Her, "I can change. Please, I'll prove it to you. I'll quit my job, I'll never see him again. Just give me one more chance." For a second, I saw the woman I once loved. The woman I thought I would grow old with. But then I remembered scrolling through those messages. The way she smiled at her phone while I sat waiting at home. And suddenly, I felt nothing. No love. No pity. Just finality. I pulled my hand free, stood up, and opened the door. Me, calm, steady, "You only regret it now because you got caught. You didn't regret it when you chose him over and over again. You regret losing control, not losing me." Her sobs echoed through the apartment. She tried one last time. Her, whispering, "Please. Don't let this be the end." I shook my head. Me, "It is the end. You ended it the day you betrayed me. Now I'm ending it for good." She staggered to her feet, walked past me, and out into the night. And when the door clicked shut behind her, it wasn't sadness I felt. It was peace. A few days after she left my apartment, I thought it was over. But fate had other plans. I was leaving the gym one evening when I saw him. The coworker. The man she chose behind my back. He was leaning against his car in the parking lot, phone in hand, laughing into the screen. I froze. My blood boiled. Every memory of betrayal surged through me like fire. At first, I wanted to walk away. But then, I didn't. I walked straight up to him. He looked up, surprised. His smile faded instantly. Me, coldly, "So, you're the guy who couldn't keep his hands off a married woman." He shifted uncomfortably, trying to play it cool. Him, "Look, man, I didn't mean to cause trouble. Things just happened." That line. Things just happened. The same excuse she gave me. My fists clenched. Me, sharp, "No. Things don't just happen. You don't accidentally text every night. You don't accidentally sneak around for months. You don't accidentally destroy a marriage. He rolled his eyes, trying to shrug it off. She came to me. Don't blame me for her choices. I stepped closer, my voice low, steady, but full of fire. Oh, don't worry. I blame her too. And guess what? You can have her. Because I don't take back what's already been in the trash. His jaw tightened. For a second, it looked like he might fire back. But instead, he looked away, shame flickering in his eyes. I turned and walked off, leaving him standing there, smaller than I had ever imagined. And as I drove home, something strange happened. For the first time, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pain. I felt free. After the storm, life felt quiet. Not empty, just calm. And that's when she appeared. Not in a dramatic, movie-like way. No fireworks. Just a smile at a friend's dinner party. Her laugh was easy. Her eyes were steady. And for the first time in months, I found myself listening, not out of obligation, not out of survival, but because I wanted to. We exchanged numbers. Not for games. Not for secrecy. Just to continue a conversation that felt natural. But healing isn't magic. The first few weeks, I carried walls higher than ever. Every time my phone buzzed, my chest tightened. Every time she said she was busy, my mind whispered, is it happening again? One evening, over coffee, I finally admitted it. Hesitant, I need to be honest. I've been hurt. Cheated on. Lied to. It's hard for me to trust again. She didn't flinch. She didn't pull away. She just reached across the table, her voice soft. Then let's take it slow. I don't want to be another scar. I want to be part of your healing. And for the first time, I believed someone's words. We started with the little things. Morning texts that said, have a good day. Calls that weren't about anything big, just to check in. Plans that she kept, every single time. It wasn't about grand gestures. It was about consistency. Something my marriage had been missing for a long time. One night, I caught myself staring at my old wedding ring, tucked away in a drawer. Memories came flooding back, the promises, the laughter, the betrayal. She noticed my silence. What's wrong? I hesitated, then finally told her the whole story. From the first suspicion, to the messages, to the night I walked away. Every painful detail. When I finished, I braced myself. For pity. For judgment. For discomfort. But she just sat beside me, quiet for a moment, before saying. She didn't deserve you. But that doesn't mean love doesn't exist. Don't let her betrayal be the ending to your story. Her words cut deep. Not because they hurt, but because they healed. The weeks turned into months. We cooked dinner together. Went hiking. Laughed until our stomachs hurt. She listened to the music I loved, and I read the books she recommended. And one night, sitting under the stars, I realized something. For months, I had been waiting to feel whole again before I let myself move on. But maybe healing doesn't happen alone. Maybe sometimes, the right person helps put the pieces back together. One evening, I got another message from my ex. Short. Bitter. I hope you're happy without me. For a moment, I just stared at it. The old me would have crumbled. Would have felt guilt. Would have questioned everything. But not anymore. I looked across the room at the woman sitting beside me, smiling as she read. The woman who showed up for me, who never made me doubt, who chose me every day. And I typed back the only reply I needed. I am. Then I put my phone down, turned back to the present, and finally, felt free. Sometimes betrayal feels like the end. Like you'll never laugh again, never trust again, never love again. But endings can be beginnings in disguise. She lost me the day she betrayed me. But I found myself, and someone who truly values me. And that's the real victory.